In the summer of 2000, a remarkable series of events began to unfold that resulted on August 1 of 2000 with about $770 million in stock and cash and the prospect of launching a foundation with that asset. Shortly thereafter, found ourselves in this very building with only 9 people on staff, no other tenants in the building, and a large amount of money. We already knew what our passion was about. It was about extending educational opportunity. And we found to our surprise that we were pretty good at catching the wave of the next issue. So we had a focused mission. Out of 60,000 foundations across this country, we were the only one primed, ready, and with the heritage necessary to anticipate the next era of need to step out on this issue. Within 14 months, planes hit the World Trade Towers in New York City. And within 1 week of that event, Lumina burst on the stage of the American consciousness with what became the Families of Freedom Scholarship Fund. And our board, to its credit, approved that $3 million over the course of a weekend. The Families of Freedom Fund was one of the early highlights of Lumina, about which we're still very proud, and we will watch the benefits of that for years to come. For those of you in the audience who might have been early grantees of Lumina Foundation, thank you for letting us associate our money with your vision. In large part, the reputation that we've been able to earn for Lumina rests on the reputation that you first earned because you identified the needs of early learners, of college leaders who want to be better, the next generation coming along. Our nation is increasingly going to be dependent on youth and other citizens, workers, who need a better education. The U.S. for decades was the most educated workforce in the world. 2 years ago, we had fallen to 8th place, and just in the past year, we've fallen to the 10th place. And the dynamics are all in the wrong direction. So this means for the U.S. that we must turn to those groups that have been underserved previously in post-secondary education. Specifically, African American and Latino students have not yet reached the 23% degree attainment that whites had back in 1973. And the globally relevant standard, we believe, is 60% of our population must have a 2- or 4-year degree. Our first $1 million grant that was actually paid was to help understand community college students better. The special groups we wanted most to reach were largely going to be starting their post-secondary work at a community college, and we needed to understand much better than we did how community colleges are serving the country and how they can do that better. So we moved quickly into what has become Achieving the Dream. 4 years later, it's 15 states, 19 funders, and 84 schools, and a call in some quarters outside of Lumina for support for this very model we call Achieving the Dream to be embedded in state and federal legislation. The imperative is before us to extend opportunity in a tangible way to populations who've been underserved in the past.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college.
One day we picked up the phone and the Ad Council had been introduced to us as a potential funder of a campaign to help students at risk in grades 8 to 10 understand the practical steps that need to be taken to turn a dream of college into an actual plan for getting to the college door. And that initiative is well underway now in multiple states across the country. The ad campaign and the Spellings Commission report issued by the Secretary of Education both have allowed our message to be far more broadly cast. And this points out, I think, the need for partnerships, that no one foundation can attack and achieve any big issue by itself. And one of the things you learn very quickly in philanthropy and in education and in higher education is that there's never enough money and that money is never enough. Making opportunity affordable, our college cost initiative, is going to be a critical national conversation. So we need to understand better the demands of the workforce, both today and prospectively, and to link the educational programs with them so that students come out of liberal, yes, education, but also technical education, better prepared to deal with the jobs and the challenges of tomorrow. Organizations have life cycles, and the gift I was given was that of launching Lumina and giving it a boost and bringing it to the point at which it finds itself today. Now, with the current strategic plan almost coming to a close, the time is right to hand the baton to new leadership. I believe we have laid a solid foundation for the next era of progress on a critical issue. Given Lumina's significant assets, its people and partners, its financial resources, and its reputation, I have high hopes for even more impact in years to come.